This is the OJHL All Access Podcast. What's happening, everybody? Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, I am Alex Bastiavansky. There's just 1 week remaining until we kick off the battle for the Buckland Cup. The playoffs are almost here. Next week, just a reminder, we'll have our first round playoff preview show where we will break down each and every series taking place. So be sure not to miss that. But first things first, today's show, it's going to be a good one. Joining me shortly will be one of the true OJHL superstars from the past few seasons, former Toronto Junior Canadiens standout, Tyler Fukakusa. He was the league's MVP in 2022-23. He led the JRCs to the Buckland Cup final the season before that, and he currently plays NCAA Division I hockey with the RIT Tigers south of the border. That's coming up in just a few moments. But first, some league news. Let's take a look at the latest CJHL Top 20 rankings. And Trenton is back in first spot, the number one ranked team in all of Canada. Leamington slots in at number 3. Collingwood is in the top 10 at number 8. And the Junior Canadiens find themselves in 12th spot. Haliburton County earned itself an honorable mention. Now, let's see how that compares to the OJHL Coaches Power Rankings. Drum roll, please. And once again, we've got some spice this week. They have got Leamington ahead of the Golden Hawks in first spot, with Trenton sitting second. Interesting. Collingwood in third spots. And yet again, they give Milton far more respect than they received in the CJHL rankings. OJ coaches have the Menace all the way up to number 4, leapfrogging the JRCs and Huskies in the process. Menace, of course, didn't even pick up an honorable mention in the CJHL rankings. The Patriots are in 7th. Stouffville is in 8th. Wellington comes in at 9. And rounding out your top 10 are the Buffalo Junior Sabres in 10th spot. Okay, speaking of the Golden Hawks and the Flyers, those teams have sewn up the top seeds in their respective conferences. Trenton in the East and the Flyers in the West. So they will have home ice advantage through the first 3 rounds of the playoffs, including the conference finals, if they are to advance. And of course, the postseason kicks off next Friday on March 7th. Be sure to tune in for next week's OJ All Access podcast, as we will have a full show breaking down each first round playoff series. And I am so happy to be joined now, as promised, Tyler Fukakusa, former Junior Canadian, now currently an RIT Tiger. Tyler, how are things?
Yeah, things are going well. All good on my end. How are you?
Can't complain. On the West Coast, we've got some mild weather right now, so I'm not missing the snow too much. That's always a positive. But I hear you guys got a pretty good dump over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, not as much as back home in Toronto, but yeah, we definitely got quite a bit of snow too. It's not fun driving on the roads right now.
Yeah, for sure. But you are in Rochester, New York right now. And let's just start off with just generally, how is life as an RIT Tiger right now?
Yeah, it's real good. School keeps me busy, and we're on the ice every single day, in the gym twice a week. So I don't have much downtime. I'm usually pretty busy doing homework or things like that. But yeah, all in all, life's pretty good right now.
Well, we'll touch on the RIT thing a little bit more throughout the show, but let's backtrack a little. Let's talk about your minor hockey career coming out of that. I know you played with the Vaughan Kings, I believe was one of the organizations. Who else did you play for? You played for a few AAA organizations before coming into junior.
Yeah, so I played for the Mississauga Reps growing up throughout minor hockey, and then minor midget I played for the Toronto Titans. My first year midget I played for the Vaughan Kings, and then my coach from Vaughan went to the Toronto Red Wings, so that's where I played my second year of midget before going to the Junior Canadiens.
So how did you end up in the OJ then, and what did you know about the league before you ended up joining up with the JRCs?
Well, the league before I got there, it was there were 2 guys drafted. I remember specifically there was Ryan Tiverberg, and then the year before, if I recall, it was Eric Ciccolini and then Jack McBain. So there were were 3 good players that were drafted out of there, especially the Toronto Junior Canadiens program. And I knew it was going to be a good league for opportunity and to be able to develop. I got really fortunate that I was being coached under Vince Bellissimo, Dave DeMarinis, John Luciani, as well as Blake Ricci, the GM with the Junior Canadiens, and they did a really good job developing us and making sure that we were ready for the next level.
They have a pretty good track record of success, don't they? When you name some of those names there and you start looking at some of the guys over the years. Yeah. Coming out of minor hockey, did you have OHL options as well? Or like what was that like for you in terms of the options you had back then?
Yeah, out of minor midget, I didn't really have the strongest year and wasn't really happy with myself after that year. So I didn't really expect myself to have any OHL options after that. But yeah, I kept working hard throughout midget, and there was a midget draft as well, but nothing ended up coming out of that. But yeah, I mean, everybody's route's different, and mine wasn't through the OHL, so I'm okay.
Right. You mentioned to me before we actually started the podcast when we chit-chatted that you were a little bit of a late bloomer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was a late bloomer. I was I think 5'2" and 115 pounds soaking wet in minor midget.
It's a little small even for the OJ. Never mind the OHL. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm happy that I was able to put on a little bit of size here.
Yeah. And then you joined the JRCs for the 2021-22 season. How did you end up with the JRCs though? Was there a connection there? I know you knew about the history of some of the players getting drafted, but what was your connection to the JRCs? How did that happen?
Well, I actually ended up signing out of the Toronto Red Wings program when I played there for midget. I signed with the Brantford 99ers, and that's who I was skating with throughout COVID. And it just so happened that Vince Bellissimo, Blake Ricci reached out to me and said that they were willing to trade for me. And I think it was in a three-way deal. I don't know. There was a lot going on there. But yeah, I didn't really get to pick JRC. They traded for me. But I'm extremely fortunate that they brought me in there and developed me as a player and as a person, because I don't think I'd be where I am today without them.
With all due respect, I don't know who was involved in that trade, but I have a feeling the JRCs are pretty happy and assume that they won that trade. So pretty good all coming back the way. I mean, the very first season, what was it, 88 points as a rookie that you put up with the JRCs, which is phenomenal. You led the team in scoring in your rookie season. But, I mean, obviously it's a big jump from minor hockey to playing Junior A. What were some of the big adjustments that you had to make in order to get into that starting lineup and excel the way you did with the Junior Canadiens?
I think the biggest thing for me was right when I came to the team, it was Vince always harped on us about number one, habits and making sure that you're paying attention to details in practice and making sure that you're going full speed in whatever you're doing. And then just conducting yourself like a pro around the rink, outside of the rink, and doing that long term really helps you develop as a player. And with that comes preparation, and then confidence follows. So I think that was just a good recipe for success, and he taught that to us really well.
Did you have a growth spurt in between your last year of minor hockey and playing your first game for the JRCs finally? Because you said you were around 5'2" in your last year of minor hockey. What did you check in at when you started playing with the JRCs in the fall?
Yeah, so minor, when I said I was 5'2", that was minor midget, so I was 16 years old.
Right.
My first year playing with JRC was the year after COVID, and I was 19 years old, so there was a big gap there. But I think I was, I want to say I was like 5'8", 5'9", and 160 pounds maybe. So
hence why you're alive to tell the tale right now.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
at 5'2"
exactly.
and 120 pounds, that would have been kind of frightening. So yeah, no,
Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, because you were 19 when you jumped into the league. That first season, let's talk about before we get to what went down later on in the season, but talk about that team that you guys had. I mean, yeah, we've talked about a lot of talent that the GRCs have, but you guys had a heck of a team. A lot of talent on that squad. Of course, you did go all the way to the Buckland Cup final. Matt Wild, your current teammate with RIT, was on that squad as well. Talk about the chemistry that you guys had and just the talent on that team in general.
yeah. I mean, I knew Matt growing up, just playing against him the whole time. But yeah, when we started playing together, it was instant chemistry right away. We started clicking, and yeah, I'm really happy that I was able to develop that with him. And we had a lot of older guys on the team that year. I think it was, I'm not exactly sure how many, but there was around 15 2002s. So 19-year-olds playing on the team at the time. We had a great captain returning in Liam Fedak, who showed us how to properly conduct ourselves around the rink, and he was a really good guy. Kept the room really tight. So I think a combination of everything of that, it worked out good, and it was a good recipe for success.
You got to do something in your very first season, which not everybody gets to have. You got to go all the way to a final. We'll get to that final game in a second, but you guys had an incredible run that season. Talk about what it was like to be a part of that, and the way that team came together, because you guys were favored. You were pretty much the number one team in the league that year. It all came together for you guys. Just talk about that run you guys had all season.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just a lot of fun, right? We went to the rink every single day and went to work, trying to get better, and really honed into the details of the game. And once you start winning, it feels like you're never going to lose again. But yeah, I think we went on a good streak of winning games there for a bit, and we were confident going into the playoffs.
So you make it to the final. You're taking on an excellent Pickering team as well. Rob Pearson did such a great job with that squad. He's a great coach. A lot of talent on that team. Talk about just the back and forth that you guys had in that series with the Pickering Panthers in the Buckland Cup final.
Yeah, I think it was some of the best hockey or most fun hockey I played to this day, and most competitive atmosphere. I mean, it was really emotional for us being up 2-0 in the series, up 3-0 in game 3, and then them taking the series all the way back to us and eventually reaching the game 7. But yeah, they had a really good team. They had a lot of guys coming down from the OHL that they brought in, and we had a really good team as well. So I think it was perfect matchup for the finals, and kind of sucks it ended up happening the way that it did. But all in all, you can't go back.
Okay, let's both take a deep breath here and let's talk about that final game. Okay, so game 7, just the range of emotions that you guys are feeling, obviously, like all the stuff you talked about that led up to that final game. And then you think you guys have scored the go-ahead goal, and everyone's celebrating, and it gets called back because I believe it was.
They actually said that Matthew Wild had goaltender interference on the goalie, but yeah, I'm not sure. He was like in the slot, so I'm not sure how they called that.
So you disagreed with that call. It would be safe to say everyone on the team.
You could say that. Yeah, you could say that I'm biased.
I know it was a big talking point throughout the league. Obviously, fans and non-fans of both teams talking about whether it should have been or not. And then, I mean, it's so tough. I mean, Pickering scores in the final few seconds, like final minutes, basically. Obviously disheartening stuff, but just talk about afterwards and what the coaches said to you guys and what that was like. Having to go through that after coming so close. And I mean, not everyone gets that close. You guys had a fantastic team, obviously, but talk about just like going from the highest of highs and then having to deal with that.
I mean, yeah, I think we played well all game, and we scored that go-ahead goal to for us to be up. I think it was 4-3 with around 10 minutes left, and then they scored with 39 seconds left to end up winning the game. So it kind of feels like we got robbed a little bit, and our coaches didn't really have anything to say to us. It was pretty quiet in the room after. We were all pretty emotional. But we know that they were extremely proud of us, and they believe that we should have been up there on the ice holding up the trophy. I think everybody in the room believed it as well. We were all pretty disappointed.
Yeah, no question. I mean, yeah, it must have been tough, no question about it. But you guys you had a fantastic season. The next year, you come back and you definitely. I mean, you had a great first season. The second season, you just knocked it out of the park. 105 points to lead the league. OJHL MVP, OHA Player of the Year, CJHL MVP finalist. Just talk about that second year. Not as good of a run the second year in terms of in the playoffs, but just talk about that second year and how, I mean, did the play just sort of seem to slow down for you just a little bit in terms of, the way that you saw things on the ice?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I mean, the whole year we were really hungry to get back to that same position that we got, that we were in the year before, and we wanted to build on that. And I think that kind of reflected the way I was playing a little. I was determined, and I knew I needed to take on a little bit of a bigger role as well. And things were just really clicking for me. I got hot. So, yeah, playing on a line with Matthew Wild and Owen Say helped a lot too. When you give Matty the puck, he almost always seems to find the back of the net. So,
yeah, no, you guys had insane chemistry. So looking back at your time in the OJHL, I mean, is it something that you would recommend for other young players as a developmental path to take?
Yeah, 100%. I think the OJHL gave me a lot of opportunity to be able to develop as a player and as a person, especially for me while living at home still. I think it was big to have my parents' support around me the whole time. And I think there's a lot of opportunity to be had to help develop and move each player on to the next level.
If you look back at your time in the OJHL, what's your absolute favorite memory? Is it possible to pinpoint one?
I mean, I always think back to that playoff run in my 20-year-old year. As much as it didn't work out, and we ended up losing in Game 7, I think that was the most fun year of hockey that I've ever had, and I just wish things were a little bit different, and we ended up winning it. But all in all, the journey to get there was really special.
So, RIT comes along, and why did you choose RIT? What was attractive to you about the Tigers program?
I mean, first of all, when I started talking to Brian Hills and Wayne Wilson and David Salako, it felt like they really connected with me on a personal level. They were really interested as me and as a player, and loved my game, as well as a person too. And they're great people. And then just the championship atmosphere and that we built here at RIT and years prior. I think it was an easy decision, especially being so close to home as well. It's only 2.5 hours away from Toronto, so my parents can come watch me play every single weekend. The corner crew is amazing too. They cheer their asses off every single night.
The student section.
Yeah.
Are you and Matt paired together on the team as well?
On a line together?
Yeah.
Me and Maddie are still playing together. We're on. I think this is our 5th season playing together, and then we got Christian Catalano on our line as well.
Ridiculous! That's awesome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. RIT's always been a big spot for OJ guys. So
yeah,
it's
I think it's an easy sell for them. It's close by, and there's a lot of talent that comes out of the OJHL too. So
for sure, perfect. Yeah. So for any players, Tyler, that are looking to further their hockey career, what advice would you give to them in terms of steps to take And also, I mean, academics obviously something you've got to look at as well, because there's now obviously there's many options now. Now it's also kids have a chance to go major junior as well, and then also go NCAA. But what advice would you give to young players about to further their hockey career in terms of the things that they should really be focused on?
I would honestly say you got to take it day by day. And that's when you make the most progress, is just trying to get just a little bit better every single day. And everybody has a different path, right? There's not one route that you need to take, and that's the way you got to get to the next level. Everyone takes a different route to get there, and sometimes it takes other people a little longer. Some people develop a little bit quicker, but if you're working hard every single day and trying to get better every single day, it'll all work out in the end.
Well, Tyler, you were a lot of fun to watch in the OJ for those couple of seasons, and really glad to see you're having continued success down at RIT. Good luck the rest of the season, and say hi to Matt and the rest of the OJ boys that are on the Tigers, okay?
Yeah, of course I will. Thank you for having me on, Alex.
Okay, Tyler, take care.
Yeah, you too. Have a good one.
And that is going to wrap things up for today. Huge thank you to Tyler once again for taking the time to be on the show today. Just a reminder, next week's show will be our very last one before the playoffs begin. So we will have our first round playoff preview show for you, breaking down every single series taking place in the first round with some special guests on the program all throughout the rest of the regular season, though the 1 week that remains, and of course into the postseason. You can stay up to date with everything that's going on by checking out the league's official social media outlets. Thanks so much for watching today. We'll see you next week.